G'day everyone, welcome to episode 125 of the Trademate Sports Betting Podcast, a betting preview of the 2021 and 22 championship season, and we'll also talk a little bit of League One and League Two. Joining me, as you can see on the right-hand side of my screen, Nigel Seeley. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, Alex. Very well. Looking forward to to start the Football League season. Looking forward to start the Premier League. Glad to see you back on you. I know St George has bottled it again. He knows the competition is tough, and he's thrown the white flag. But yeah, it's good to be back, mate. It's only a few weeks ago when it was the Euro 2020, wasn't it? And you couldn't turn on Twitter without seeing me with a pint of Stella in my hand going to the Wembley matches. But and now, 4 weeks after that, 5 weeks after that, we're starting a new season. It just never stops, does it, in the world of sports betting?
Yeah, how's the stomach, mate? Is it fully recovered after the summer of Seeley?
Yeah, well, it's put on. It's got a bit bigger, that's for sure. A few notches on the belt have gone up a little bit, but other than that, no, we're fine, mate. We're a finely tuned athlete. These athletes who go to Olympic Games have 4 years of preparation. That's what I am when it heads into European Championship or World Cup. I'm fully focused on 2 weeks on a 4 week process of drinking lots of alcohol, lots of beer, and I'm a fully focused athlete heading into a major championship.
Yeah, it's inspirational stuff, mate. We might have to get you back on the old. What was it? The virtual boxing you had too, the goggle boxing, whatever you want to call it, with the.
Yeah, I got it over there. Yeah, I mean
that's what you need, mate. That'll get you back into shape.
That will, but I bought a Peloton as well during the lockdown. I mean, I've been on it 3 times. I think it's the biggest waste of money I've ever had in my life. I started off thinking, this is for me, and then all of a sudden, given up completely. I don't know why I've done that. Big waste of money.
All right, mate. Well, we'll keep us up to date on Twitter with your journey to getting back to full fitness, mate. I'm sure we'll all enjoy that, eh?
It's going to take a long time. Bear with me.
All right, mate, before we get into all the betting markets in the championship, just a quick disclaimer for everyone out there watching the channel for the first time. I or no one else on the channel is a financial advisor. This is just educational content aimed at improving your knowledge about sports betting. There is a risk of losing money when betting, and what choices you make with your money is completely up to you. So please be responsible. Mate, we'll start off with a big bang, and probably everyone's, I guess the market everyone gets most excited about here is the winner of the championship, and maybe we can take a look at the top 2 finishing market too. I'll get the odds up on my screen. Fulham, slight favourites there at 650 best odds. You got West Brom straight after at 750, Sheffield United 850, and then Bournemouth as high as 11. So it seems like there's 4 favourites. I guess you could call it a 4-horse race for the title if you're looking just at the betting. Yeah, how do you look at it, mate?
Well, I mean, let's sort of start off with the championship as a nutshell, really. I mean, many years ago, sort of 3 or 4 years ago, people would say this was the most competitive league in English football, the championship. Anyone can beat anyone on a given day. There's no gulf between the top and the bottom. But gradually, as the years have gone by and the money from the Premier League and the teams that have got relegated from the Premier League with the parachute payments, the teams that have come down from the Premier League have a huge advantage over the teams that have been in the Championship for a long, long time. And I think that is becoming more evident as we go on. I mean, essentially, there should be a Premier League, there should be a Championship, and then you should have a league in the middle with the likes of West Brom, Norwich, and Fulham in it, because they just bounce from one league to the other, and stick Watford in it as well. They go from one league to the other each season. So it's no surprise to see that the relegated clubs, Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield United, are the top 3 favourites to get immediate return back. If you look last season, obviously with a season affected by COVID and no fans in the stadium, the 3 relegated teams from the Premier League, 2 of them went straight back in Norwich and Watford, and the other team, Bournemouth, failed in the playoffs. So I know. Yes, last season was a strange one, obviously with no fans, but you would think that those 3 teams who got relegated will be certainly in the mix again at the end of next season. The question is, all 3 of them have had managerial changes. Every one of them has a new manager in charge. Fulham had Marco Silva, obviously the guy who was manager at Watford. They're brilliant at Watford. Went to Everton, was probably a little bit too early for a big move to a big club, and the expectation probably he didn't deliver. You've got West Brom, who's got Valérien Ismaël, the guy who did a brilliant job last year at Barnsley. I mean, we talk about teams that the top teams come through. Barnsley, with exception to the rule last year, of what they did, and the manager was fantastic. But his first job at West Brom was to clear out virtually the whole team. I mean, he had to get rid of about 10 or 15 players. And I think they're going to take a little bit of time to keep going. Same with Fulham. Fulham have got a whole host of changes as well. They've got Mitrovic up front. Now, Mitrovic didn't play much last season. Scott Parker didn't play him, but obviously in the Championship, he's a different beast. There's certain players who can play at this level of football. Dwight Gale, for example, was one of those players. Score lots and lots of goals in the Championship. When they go into the Premier League, just find that little bit too much. But they're going to take their time to find their feet, I think. I think that there's no doubt about it, West Brom and Fulham will be in the shake-up. But I don't think they're going to hit the ground running at the beginning. I think a lot of changes, a lot of managerial changes, a lot of different ideas of the way the manager wants to play football. And I think that, okay, yeah, they are the favourites in terms of what they've got, their squad, their financial power. But I think it's going to take them a bit of time, especially West Brom. I think West Brom will take a little, I think there'll be a different team after Christmas or before Christmas. So for that reason, if you're looking at the teams other than those top two, I think Sheffield United here will be my idea of the winners. I mean, I bet them yesterday at 8-1. I don't know if the 8-1 is still there.
8.5, yeah.
Yeah, they were sorry. 9.0 would be the price I bet them. That was with Coral, and they're 8.5 now. But so 8-1, I bet them. And the reason I like them is obviously they've got a new manager. Chris Wilder as well has departed, and he was fantastic for Sheffield United. He epitomises what Sheffield United was about. Chris Wilder, he was the manager of the perfect club. But they brought in Jokanovic, Jofanowski, the guy I can never pronounce these names, but Jofanowski, the guy who was the manager at Watford. He got Watford promoted from the Championship. And he also got Fulham promoted from the Championship. So he's been at the Championship level in two clubs and got them straight back out. And unlike West Brom and Fulham, Sheffield United have had no departures. They are virtually the same team, the same squad, just a different manager. And the manager, I think, he knows his level of football. He knows how to win this division. He knows how to get teams out of this division. And Sheffield United, with the same side, nothing at all will change. The only thing they may change, the goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale is a high priority for Arsenal. Arsenal might want to buy the goalkeeper, but if they can get 30 million for him, that is a fantastic bit of business. Because I don't rate him. I think he's a shot stopper. But I think some of his positioning, he's at fault for a lot of goals last season for Sheffield United. And I think if he can get 30 million for him, that's a shrewd bit of business. And I think that enhances their chances. They invest wisely. They've got a striker in Rhian Brewster, who they bought from Liverpool for £27 million. Didn't do anything in the Premier League. Didn't do anything. Useless. But you've got to remember, this is the Championship, and when he's going to the teams towards the bottom of the table in like a Peterborough or Blackpool, he should shine. And so I think they've got a great chance. And there's another reason why. If you look at Sheffield United's performances towards the end of last season, they improved massively. They were pretty much gone by Christmas time. They were so far adrift, but they got better and better. They accepted their fate, and they were building for this. Knew they were going to get relegated. They were building for this, what this season would hold. And the other thing, which is massive for Sheffield United, is huge, more so than Fulham, more so than West Brom, is fans will be allowed in the stadium. If you ever go to Sheffield United to Bramall Lane, it is absolutely rocking. The place is electric. When fans were allowed in the stadium, when the lockdown first started here, Sheffield United were in a Europa League place in the Premier League. That's how high they were doing. Then they just fell off a cliff. And I can't, you can't say all of it was to do with the fact that no fans and the performances were really poor. But a lot of it contributed to the fact they had no fans. Certain games that they would have got something from without having that influence of a passionate support behind them. And I think if you look at the data of any side in the Premier League who suffered the most without any fans, Sheffield United were number one, and number two were Liverpool. And I think now with the fans back in the stadium again, the rocking full house, at their level, these players' level, I think out of the three, if you're looking for a bit of value, I think Sheffield United would be the pick for me.
So you mentioned that all three of these top favoured clubs have got a new manager. Why is it the Sheffield United is there like a difference, would you say? Because from memory, this guy came in, didn't he, at the end of the Premier League season? So he has had a bit more time.
It's a different guy. It's a different guy. They had a guy. They had a guy in towards the end of the season, and they brought this new manager in the summer. The difference between this manager and the manager at Fulham and West Brom is this manager's been with two clubs in the Championship and got promotion with both of those clubs in Watford and Fulham. So he knows the division inside out. Even though he's a new manager, he knows the surroundings very well. I just feel that there isn't much change, and the players at Sheffield United work hard. They just found themselves out of the depth in the Premier League, and games where they were sort of getting results when they were doing really well a couple of years ago. They were getting results riding on the back of the home support and raising their game levels. And obviously, without the fans in, their games levels drop. But I think it's a shrewd appointment in the manager position. I think it's the right appointment for this division, and the players they have are top championship players. They're poor Premier League players, but they're top championship players. And I just think that they would be that out of the three. I don't think there's much between the three. And purely from a value point of view, if you're getting 5.5 to 1 Fulham or 8 to 1 Sheffield United, I think Sheffield United. I do think West Brom will come good because they always do well in the Championship. But I think with so many changes, and Pereira, one of their better players, wants to leave as well. So they've got rid of about 11 players. That's a big upheaval to expect to come straight away. But I think after Christmas, the cream will rise to the top. But I think Sheffield United might have the front run on all of them at the beginning.
Yeah, do you think there's an opportunity there to back, like you said, Fulham and West Brom might get off to a slower start to the season? Is that something you might be looking at to come Christmas, or maybe even a bit earlier or later? Just a mid-season play for the winner.
Well, I think if you can play those at the moment, I do think those three are the best three. I mean, Bournemouth are probably the team that could challenge them. They got Scott Parker, the former Fulham manager, in. I think the rest of them are struggling for playoff places. I do think those three, the cream rise to the top, but I think you'll get a better price on West Brom particularly as the season goes on, because I think they'll drop points. So if you can form a book, or you can have a portfolio where you've got those three sides running for you at decent odds, say you get 8 to 1, all three of them at some stage of the season, you've got a 2 to 1 chance that one of them will win the league. And I think that's a great play or a great strategy to have heading into the Championship season.
Yeah, okay, nice, mate. And are there any smokies outside of the top 3 or 4, like Cardiff, Middlesbrough, Nottingham Forest, QPR, Stoke? Any of them you think have any hope of challenging for the title?
I don't think they have hope of challenging for the title, but a team that I think will do very, very well this season is QPR. I've been to watch them twice in pre-season. I saw them play Manchester United, and they won 4-2. And I saw them play Leicester last Saturday, and it was a 3-3 draw. Now, you might turn around and say, well, it's a pre-season friendly. No, don't look much into that. Well, Man United had Jesse Lingard playing. They had Matic playing. They had Wan-Bissaka playing. They had Greenwood playing. And QPR battered them. I mean, absolutely battered them, 4-2. And they could have scored more. And then Leicester, they had Jamie Vardy playing. They had Barnes playing. They had the centre-half, whose name escapes me, who played for Turkey in the European Championship. And they had Ignacio playing. They had the new signing striker they got up front playing. And QPR were absolutely all over them and were 3-1 up. And then QPR made about 2-0 up, I think it was. Then they made about 10 changes to the team. And then obviously the changes let Leicester in. But there's something special going on at QPR. The manager signed a new contract. The assistant manager was heavily linked to go to Swansea as the manager. He turned it down to stay at QPR. They've recruited incredibly well in the transfer window. They bought a guy from Fulham called Stefan Johansson for about £500,000. He was on loan last season. He was a brilliant playmaker. Probably one of the best signings in the Championship this season. They bought a fullback from Sheffield Wednesday whose quality, got some pace. And probably the big important thing for him is now is Charlie Austin's return, a proven goal scorer. to form a formidable partnership with Dykes, the Scottish international, up front. So they've got goals in them. They've got a brilliant captain and centre half in Rob Dickey. And I think they've got a really, really good squad. I don't think they'll win it because I think a couple of injuries, especially to Charlie Austin, he's not getting any younger, and if he gets injured or they get a problem to one of the centre halves, they're in trouble. But certainly they could be the side that could surprise and push into the playoff spots for me.
Yeah, so I mean that probably transitions well to the next market we're looking at now, the promotion market. Is that something that you're looking for QPR there, promotion or possibly a top 6 finish, which I could get the markets up for?
Yeah, the thing is with promotion is that, I think QPR's best chance to get up. I don't think they're going to get it automatic, but their best chance is to squeak a playoff place. So once they get to the playoff place, say you bet them at 7-1 to get promoted. If you get them into the playoff place and they're into the last with the 4, they're probably going to be 4-1 underdogs in the playoff place. So you're better off just to try to cash on a top 6 finish at a lower price rather than take them to be promoted, because I think it's better sense or better logic to take them to do that, because they are going to be, if they're playing, say, Bournemouth, or they play a Sheffield United, or they play a Fulham or something like that in the playoffs, then QPR will be the underdogs quite clearly, like Barnsley were last season. So yeah, I think number 2, I think Nottingham Forest will have a good year. I think Cardiff will do well. Good manager Mick McCarthy. He's done a fantastic job there when he came in the end of last season. And they're sky high. Of the teams towards the end, top, I think, might struggle. I don't think Barnsley will replicate what they did last year. I think Middlesbrough won't do what they did last year. I think Swansea, who missed out, also will struggle. So they're the teams I think will go downwards. But I think Nottingham Forest, managed by Chris Hughton, they were steadily going about their business last season. I think they could do okay. Cardiff will do okay. And I think QPR of those sort of 3 sides that would be the sides that you would want to look at to have a good season and maybe make a top 6 finish.
Yeah, okay. So you've got Nottingham at as high as 3.75. I think you mentioned Middlesbrough too. They're at 3.
No, I would have them as a negative. I don't think Middlesbrough will do well.
Yeah, I heard you wrong there. And then
I think Swansea would be a negative. I mean, the 3 teams that I would be looking at there would be Cardiff at 3, Nottingham Forest at 3.75, and QPR. And the teams that I would want to take on would be Middlesbrough and Swansea and Barnsley. And I think they're the 3 sides that I would want to take on.
Yeah, is that something you do? I don't know, I guess lay them at the exchanges?
No, because basically I have to rate the sides to run the simulations for the season and to look at the matches. So usually I have a negative for sides or a positive for sides, and if I don't want to bet them long term, I start betting them in the matches in the first 6 to 7 weeks to see before the market forms in the way that I feel. The start of the season, the start of any football league season could be the biggest success in the first 6 weeks if you've got your ratings right and the market forms, or you could stand alone and get it completely wrong and lose fortunes. So it's always a time of the year where you just start off a little bit cautious. But a couple of seasons ago, pretty much every side that I earmarked that I wanted to be with, the bookmakers and the changed their ratings after 5 to 6 games with the way that I wanted. Last season, everything I touched went the other way. I got it completely wrong, and I couldn't bet a winner for the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks of the season because I was still adamant about my sides. And I still think that was to do with a lot of me sort of not factoring the home advantage without fans at the very beginning of the season. I never caught on to that until it was too late, which I regret now, even now. But if you have a sort of a set of teams that you like and a set of teams you don't like, you can pretty much get with those teams each week in the opening 4 to 5 weeks of the season before any form and anybody can sort of move anybody. There's any adjustments rated from the bookmakers for their sides going forward.
Yeah. All right. Well said, mate. Well, why don't we switch things around and look at the bottom of the ladder now, get the market up on Odds Checker. So the relegation market, quite short favourites there in Derby County, and then you got Peterborough, Huddersfield, Blackpool, it's kind of very, very tight there between them and Coventry, Preston, Hull, Bristol. I mean, it's a way more interesting race than the title, you'd have to say, just by looking at the odds. I guess, where do you look at it, mate?
Well, I mean, Derby, not many bookies over here are letting you bet on Derby. You know, Wayne Rooney come out about 10 days ago and said he's only got 9 players to choose from signed up to the side. He can't get any loan players in because of the misdemeanors, the financial misdemeanors at the club. And they were something like, they were playing Huddersfield on the weekend, and the first set of the season, Huddersfield, I think there was something like, Huddersfield was something like 2.4 to beat Derby 10 days ago. Now Huddersfield are 1.8. You know, there's a big move on them. But I wouldn't rush into betting Derby to get relegated at 1.8 because they reckon they could have a new owner. Things could change. I mean, if they get some point, people are scared. What the bookies are scared of? They're scared of points deductions. If you bet a team at 1.8 in Derby and have 10 points deducted, then they're 1.25 to get relegated. And that's why they're priced at 1.8, because of the fear of points deductions. But there also is, you know, if you look at, there could be a positive. They could have a new owner who turns around. It's a big club, Derby. They're former champions of England. You know, they've got a long history, so they're worth something to somebody. And if an owner comes in and can sort out their problems, we don't know how bad the problems are, but apparently they're really bad behind the scenes. But if someone wants to take a risk, then suddenly their fortunes could change completely. So I wouldn't be betting Derby at 1.8. They're obviously, as we stand now, they're the side that everybody wants to be with because people are reading the horror stories that are coming out of the club. But that can change by Christmas very, very quickly. So I wouldn't be betting Derby. If you were looking for a couple of teams that will struggle, I think Reading will struggle a lot more than they did. They got in the playoffs last season, just missed out the playoffs last season. And I think that they could be sucked into a relegation battle at a big price. Lost a lot of their best players. Manager, their form fell off a cliff towards the end of last year. They started off top of the table in the first part, playing some really attractive football. I think they could be a side that could have a rebase from last season. The others, Bristol City, I think, you know, Nigel Pearson started off well at Bristol City, and then again, form was really bad, tailing off towards the end of last season. Their goal XG was probably one of the worst in the division. That they could struggle. But there would be the two sides I would take out at prices if you were looking for some value. I think Peterborough's got goals in them, so that they could avoid the drop with goals. Blackpool will definitely struggle, but you know, they know a lot of these sides at the Championship, like Blackpool, they know they're going to be in a relegation battle, and they set themselves out to finish fourth from bottom to avoid relegation. They highlight key games and win these key games, will be okay. Whereas a team like Reading or a team like Bristol City could find themselves in a relegation battle very quickly and not have any idea how to get out of it because they don't expect themselves to be in there. So there would be this couple of teams that I'll be looking at. And again, you know, if you're looking at this weekend or the next weekend, Reading could be a side that the layers are overvaluing on the back of how they performed last season because they've lost a lot of quality players.
Is it? I mean, when the market's this close together, is there like, I guess, I don't know, one particular variable that you like to look at? And I mean, you know, there's obviously a million different variables in football, but is there one kind of thing that you like to look at with these sides? Like, is it, I don't know, if they've got a good defense, a good attack, you know, maybe they're going, I mean, there's all sorts of factors, but is there kind of one variable that you like to look at to try and separate a few from the pack?
Well, I always think, obviously, goals. I mean, if you've got a striker at this level who can get you 20 goals a season, you know, you've got half a chance. I mean, Blackburn last season, without the goals of Armstrong, their centre forward, I think he got something like 28 goals. I mean, they would have really struggled, really struggled. So, you know, those goals help you out. Blackpool haven't really got much of a goal threat. Peterborough have a goal threat in this division. And I look at goals. Huddersfield, for example, they're amongst the favourites to get relegated. They don't have hardly any goal threat. They've got to rely on winning games 1-0, winning games ugly. But I think if you've got someone in this division or any division who can score you 20 goals a season, then the chances are you've got a chance of survival. So, you know, Reading have lost a lot of their attack-minded players. A lot of them have gone. So the goals might not be there. I mean, they had a fabulous attacking three last season, and there's only one left. So he's not going to get the supply demand. So I think if a team suddenly drops by a huge proportion of goals from last year, then that spells trouble for me.
Yep. All right, cool, mate. Very interesting. And on the subject of goals, we can move forward to the top goal scorer market here, mate. This is where you can probably find some real big odds here and there. Mitrovic is the top at the favourite, pretty close with Adam Armstrong behind him. Is there any? Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different market that we're looking at here. I guess there's a lot more variables to take into place, but is there something you're liking here, mate?
Well, Mitrovic didn't play at all, hardly any games last season in the Premier League. I mean, he was used as a bit part by Scott Parker. Whether Marco Silva wants to start him, he's not a certain starter. In the Championship 2 seasons ago, he was the top goal scorer. He played every game. But I'm not. I wouldn't be rushing to back Mitrovic. You want somebody who's going to play every game effectively. You need someone who's going to be with a team. The 3 things you want to look for is, one of them, you want to be with a player that is going to play virtually every game. The second thing you want to be is with a player that's got a chance of winning the title, or definitely being at the top end of the table rather than the bottom of the table. And the third thing is you want someone who can take penalties. So they're the 3 boxes you need to tick. And for that reason, I mean, one man now I think stands out, and I think that's Kiefer Moore at Cardiff. He's 16-1. He's 6'5". He scores more headers than anybody else. The Cardiff City team, I think, will do well. I touched on it, and I think Mick McCarthy will have his side. I potentially could think they could be in the playoffs. They get more crosses in the box than any other team in the division. He's virtually at the end of all of them. And he's coming off the back of a decent Euros. He played pretty well, I thought, for Wales. Scored a very, 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 very good goal against Switzerland. But the only problem with this division as well, which is another big problem, is is if that you get a player here who has a fantastic first half of the season, and then suddenly, so for example, Kiefer Moore, say he's gone 15 goals at Christmas, and there's a club like Burnley at the bottom of the Premier League who are struggling, who need to get a forward in.
Yeah.
They could quite easily spend £12 million and he's gone. That's the problem. I remember betting Chris Wood in this market a few years ago when Leeds were doing all right, and that's exactly what happened. Chris Wood was sold 2 months after I had the bet to Leeds, and it's over. So there's a lot. There's a lot of things to factor in here. Certain teams, I think QPR will get a lot of goals this season. The way they play is attack minded, but Charlie Austin. He'll score goals at this level, but I don't know whether Charlie will be able to play every game for the season. I think he's going to have some injury concerns to play the season. So, but Kiefer Moore will tick every box as we stand now. But my only concern will be whether he was sold. But takes penalties, scores goals, and is with a club that could potentially finish in the playoffs.
It's interesting to look at the odds. I mean, I can get them back up on the screen, sorry, but they have a Sky Bet at 17s for Kiefer Moore, and Paddy Power have got him at 10s. It's quite a huge gap. Is this something that you normally see in the outright markets? Like, normally they're a little bit closer than that.
Yeah, the thing is, there's not really, there's not many people are going to be betting them, so you're not going to be moving. Your liability isn't going to be as much. You wouldn't see that. A big move like that in the Premier League market. You wouldn't have someone like being 17-1. I don't know, someone like I don't know. So say someone like Aubameyang 17-1 and someone else 10-1, because there'd be much more handle going on that one, and the odds maker would move the price when he saw the handle coming in. And what people are going to have on the Kiefer Moore, the anti-post markets now in this country and across the world are very, very, very. Nobody wants to tie their money up. We live in a world where everything's instant. We can. You can have a bet on the spin of a roulette wheel. We can risk £1,000 on it, and you can lose £1,000 in 30 seconds. That's the nature of the client, the bettor now. They want things instantly. We live in a world where you can take a picture, and suddenly the whole world can. You can take a picture thousands of miles away, and the whole world can see it. So I think that anti-post markets aren't anywhere near the amount of handle and the volume that they were when I was certainly a trader, because people used to bet on credit then. Someone would say, listen, I'll have a £5,000 bet with you, and you put it in the book and they wouldn't have to pay till May. Now you've got to pay up your £5,000 now and for 9 months. So people don't want to. It's a very, very, people like listening to it and they like trying to have a parlay or an accumulator. But I think the handle on anti-post bets or future wages is nowhere near the volume as it was many years ago.
Oh, mate, the good old days, eh?
Well, listen, it wasn't good old days. It was just the fact that we lived in a different world. No one had credit accounts. Credit accounts. You could get a £10,000 credit account and put all your anti-post on, and then wait to save up for 9 months to get the 10 grand.
Just move to another country, mate. That's what I did.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people did. I tried many times. No other country would have me. That's the trouble. I tried to go to Latvia, but they wouldn't have me.
Oh, funny that. I'm surprised. I'm surprised they didn't let you in. I'm pretty sure your pictures on all of their police officers just about. All right, mate. I think that covers the championship pretty well, and we can kind of wrap up at the end with your best bet. But we might as well take a quick look at League One and League Two. We can start off with League One. I'll just throw it to you, mate. I mean, there's so many markets here. If we went through them, we'd be here all day. So is there any particular bet or particular team player that's really interesting you coming into the League One season?
I'll give you two. I'll give you two bets in League One. I've got quite a lot of bets on League One on Premier Sports Space, but obviously I can't give everything away. But I'll give you a couple of bets. I think Ipswich are going to take some stopping in League One. I remember speaking to you. I think it was George, and we spoke about Ipswich. And I turned around and said to you that Ipswich don't want to get to the playoffs. I don't know if you can remember me telling you that. I remember we were talking about a League One game, and I said to you, Ipswich didn't want to get in the playoffs, and they didn't. I think
you should have realised by now that I don't listen to half the things you say, mate.
I know that. Anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. But anyway, I remember saying to you that Ipswich didn't want to be in the playoffs, and I know you laughed at me at the time, and you and what it was they had a new manager in Paul Cook, and he was told to get rid of the whole squad and get the players he wanted in. And my God, he's done that. He's got rid of some dead wood at that club. He's got a new owner. And he's brought in some quality players in that level of football. He's brought in a guy, 7.5 from Rangers in Scotland, who could have played in the Champions League, now playing in League One. Joe Pigott from Wimbledon. I mean, Joe Pigott will get you 20 goals a season, no problem. And he's got a great goalkeeper. Got the goalkeeper from Salford, best goalkeeper in League Two by a mile. And Ipswich are really, really, really going to take some stopping. I think they're the standout team. They're joint favourites along with Sunderland, but every year we have Sunderland as joint favourites in this division. And when it gets close to the line, that they don't get the job done. I think Ipswich are just a much better team. I think they'll do well. Sheffield Wednesday, I think, will struggle. Charlton were very interesting. I knew a lot of people who were involved at Charlton, and there was talk about them doing well at the start of the, in the summer season, that they would spend money. New owner, they'll spend money. But I think Nigel Atkins is a great manager for Charlton. But I think they're going to be quite entertaining to watch Charlton this season. I think they're going to score a lot of goals. And I've bet a guy, their centre forward called Jaden Stockley. I think he was 20-1 to be the top goal scorer in League One. Stockley was on loan last year towards the end of the season with Charlton and did really, really well. He played in the Championship for Preston, and he found it a little bit tough, really. Wasn't quite happy with the surroundings, and he didn't score the goals. At Exeter, he was prolific at Exeter. But a lot of Championship clubs wanted Stockley to go to them. But he turned down higher wages to stay at Charlton. But one thing he did do is he signed quite a lucrative goal bonus. So if you've got a guy on quite a lucrative goal bonus, he's going to be wanting to take a lot of free kicks, a lot of penalties, a lot of goals.
Will they put him on penalties then?
Well, I think. Well, it depends. It depends how skinny he is that week. I think you'll want to take him. I think.
No, I mean, will the club let him take penalties? They know every time he's going to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he is the penalty taker at the club as well. So I think that. I mean, but that was a way to get him to sign, and I think that's a huge factor if you're looking for a top goal scorer bet. You know that someone's very hungry for goals because they're going to get a very healthy goal bonus rather than wages. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people could get healthy wages, struggle a little bit, and still pick up the money. Whereas this boy is going to be going all the way through the season, and I think Charlton will score a lot of goals under Atkins. I think they'll be very entertaining this season. So I'm going to Charlton. I'm going to watch Charlton on Tuesday night. So I'll be able to come back and tell you what I think of him when I next speak to you. But Jayden Stockley at 20 to 1's worth a couple of quid.
Yeah, and just looking, I had the market up on the screen before, but the Betfred have got him at 11s and Bet365 have got him at 21. So another interesting case where the odds are, far and wide. So yeah, all right, cool, mate. Why don't we move over to League Two then? Throw it to you, mate. What do you got here?
Well, I mean, it's not going to be, it's going to be very, very. The whole of this football league season, I feel that the teams at the top end of the market are probably going to be the ones that who could win it at the end of the season. I think Salford are worthy favourites, real worthy favourites. I mean, they've splashed the cash over the last few years. They're owned by obviously the Manchester United boys of Gary Neville, Phil Neville, Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, and all that lot, and Ryan Giggs. And they're funded by a multi-millionaire businessman in Peter Lim, so probably a billionaire. But so they've got the financial power to absolutely smash this league, and they've tried to do it over the last few years, and they haven't succeeded. But the one thing they've never really done is they've never really got the right man in charge. Graham Alexander was in charge last season, and they've had other different managers. I think they had 3 managerial changes last season. But they've got in Gary Bowyer, who he's probably not a certainty to last the season the way that they chop and change their managers. But towards the end of last season, he really got them playing. You got to remember, last season Salford they had the best home record in the league. They only lost once in 23 home games at home, and they had the best defence in the league, and they still didn't make the playoffs. And the reason why was because they drew so many games. They drew 11 games at home last season. Now, they won 11, drew 11, lost 1. And I think if they can turn those games that they drew into winning games, they're the side to beat. I think they've been very, very shrewd in their transfer policy. They've realised that they needed goals, and they've gone out and bought players that could bring them goals. And I think that they're definitely the side to beat. They've lost their goalkeeper, Harkef, who's gone to another name. I can never pronounce these names. I'm terrible. But he's gone to.
I could listen to a whole podcast if you're trying to pronounce his name.
He's gone to Ipswich, but they brought in Tom King, who's a proven stopper in this division, and defensively they're strong. They've got obviously the financial power. If they need money at Christmas and they're in a winning position, I'm sure they'll spend money and get the players promotion. And now they seem to have a goal threat. They brought in a centre forward from Oldham. His name escapes me again. Who got loads of goals last season. And they've got Henderson, who's their main goal threat up front. I think he got something like 20 odd goals last season. He's 37 now. So the goal threat now has been sorted. They've got the players who get the goals. Defence has always never been the problem. And at home, they're virtually unbeatable. And it sounds pretty obvious because they're the favourites, but I definitely think they're the side to beat.
All right. Beautiful, mate. You've talked a lot today, mate. Unfortunately, I couldn't give you a break. I don't know too much about the Championship and League One and League Twos. I'm quite discriminatory when it comes to those leagues, and didn't have George today, mate. So it's just you've done a good job. How are you feeling?
Well, as soon as you don't listen to anything I say, you can tell. I'll ask you tomorrow what I said, and you won't remember. So thanks.
No, mate. I'm just a typical guy that follows a tipster. I can tell you everything you want to bet. I don't know why. All right, mate. We'll sum it all up. Championship, League One, and League Two. What's out of everything you talked about today? What's your favourite bet out of all of them?
I would probably have to say Ipswich in League One. I think they really mean business. Good new owner, lots of money at the club, brilliant manager at this level. Signings have been superb, strength in every area, brilliant goalkeeper, brilliant central defender, 2 forwards up front who's going to get loads of goals, and creative midfield. Ipswich to win League One.
All right. Brilliant, mate. Thank you very much today. You can find Nigel on Twitter at Seeley_Nigel and check out premiersportsplays.com. It would be a very good decision to sign up ASAP because of all the future and outright bets before the season kicks off. So this will be out today. So you've essentially got one-ish kind of days before the season kicks off. So head over and check out Nigel's website. But yeah, thank you very much, mate. We will be back next week with a preview of the EPL. We're going to have a preview of La Liga. We're going to have a preview of the UFC tomorrow too. So there's plenty of good stuff coming up. But yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. Please do a rate and review of the podcast. Subscribe to us wherever you listen. Give the video a like, would be tremendous. And yeah, we will see you sometime soon. Thank you very much again, Big Nige.
Take care, mate. All the best.